Hi, this is Titus Welliver. You're listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that the next edition of TV Confidential will premiere next week on this station at the usual time. Our guests will include actress and entrepreneur Audrey Walters and actor, singer, and comedian Richard Pryor Jr. We hope you'll join us for that. In the meantime, by now, I imagine most of you have heard the news about the passing of Beverley Owen. Beverley Owen, the actress best known as the original Marilyn Munster on the Munsters. You might recall that our friend Steve Cox wrote a comprehensive book about the Munsters, and when Steve appeared on our program back in March 2012, he talked about Beverley Owen's departure from the Munsters during the first season of that show, and how he reunited Beverley Owen and Al Lewis as a result of this Munsters book. As we pick up the conversation, we're talking about this before we started recording. The big takeaway from your book, Steve, is the one principal member of that cast that you were not able to talk to for the book was Fred. And even though 20 years had passed between the end of the show and the time your book first came out in 88, 89, I mean, Fred still just, he wanted to divorce himself from that show. And when I think about it, I can understand, because when you think of how much physical pain and how uncomfortable it was for him, it was not a pleasant experience for him on a day-in, day-out basis, even though performance-wise, character-wise, he did such a great job.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's true. One of the other things that I found out that no one mentioned to me writing the original edition of the Munsters was that Fred and his wife had a son that drowned in the pool during the production of the Munsters. And no one mentioned it to me at all. I didn't learn about that till a little bit later on. So it's in the second edition. But that heartache might be one of the obvious reasons he didn't want to revisit that period of time.
It goes back to what you said before about Donna Davis. I mean, sometimes Donna Douglas, right? Making the show, it brings back where you were at a time, and that may color your history or your background.
Also, there are the rumors, and maybe a little stronger than rumors, that Fred was having an affair with Beverley Owen, the first Marilyn, at that time. Mm-hmm. Now, Beverley, she moved out from New York and lived with Fred and his wife, and even took care of his children. They rented a house together. And let's just say that more than one person has strongly alluded to that. More than one person who was there and that saw things. And that might be a little bit more of the... Now, I did not discuss this in the book. Right. Mm-hmm. Because I would have remembered that. There are just certain things I couldn't approach.
Right.
And I've never asked Beverley about that. Maybe other reporters have. I never have. But that might also be a little bit of the reason that she wanted to leave sort of suddenly. Maybe things got discovered. I don't know. But there was a problem. But she and Fred stayed friends till the end. And in fact, I know she even had she showed me a beautiful card that he had sort of hand painted.
He was very artistic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did the logo for Al Davis's restaurant, right?
Yeah, Al Lewis's bar in
in New York.
Grandpa's.
Yeah. And for some lucky fans, he would draw Herman, that type of thing. But, what an artist.
Now, speaking of lucky fans, you struck a friendship with Al Lewis before you became a writer, correct?
Yes. Al was someone who, as a kid, he was a TV hero. I wanted to meet this guy. I wanted to talk to him. And I lived in St. Louis, and when I discovered the joys of long-distance telephone, which my parents just cringed at. This is in the old days, when...
But, Mom, I'm doing research.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm this kid in grade school, and I'm trying to... I remember calling up long-distance directory, and I'm asking directory assistants for the phone number of Lucille Ball.
Whoa.
I remember the lady kind of laughed, and she said, I don't think she's listed. Of course, she wasn't. But Al Lewis was listed in the phone book. And I called him up, and I used to talk to him, and disturb his basketball games and all kinds of stuff. But he would send me things in the mail, and I would write to him. And then when I came out to L.A. for the first time, I met him, and we stayed in touch. And he was always, he kind of watched me grow up in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I watched him get older, although he was kind of always old.
Yeah.
But yet still full of energy. So he pretty much looked the same. But here I was growing up and going through, he always encouraged me to go to college and, you know, go toward this, go toward that. So at the time that I got the contract on the Munsters, he was my biggest booster.
I'll bet.
He helped me, and I, as a last resort, would have gone to Al to ask for Fred's phone number, but as a last resort only. So I found Fred through my own means. But that was at the time when Al had his restaurant in the village.
Yeah.
Greenwich Village, and I would visit him there, and he set up the meeting of Beverley Owen, and so I got to interview Beverley sort of aside while having lunch with her one day at Al's, but then also got to put them together in the booth and just quiz them both about their memories of the Munsters, and that was a lot of fun. And they hadn't seen each other in a long time, so it was nice to sort of reunite them, and that was nice because they were both still, you know, close and hugged each other, and brought about, you know, wonderful memories and all that. And that was a neat interview.
Going back to some of the rewards or byproducts as a result of doing books such as these, I mean, it sounds like you brought Al and Beverley together. I mean, I've had experience of some of my own books where, you know, because I'm just talking to some of these people, and you know, Roy Huggins would say, I haven't talked to that guy in 45 years. Can you put me in touch with him? So it's like, and can you do it as part of your research? It's
We
fun.
also had Hank Garrett on the show several months ago, who was one of the last people from Car 54. Him and Charlotte Ray. Donna and I know Hank Garrett from our storytelling group, and he's a wonderful storyteller, brilliant comedian, still very, very active. And
looks like he could beat both of us up.
Yes. I mean, this is a pro wrestler. Yeah. I mean, he's up there, but he could probably, you know, hurt you very badly still. Yes. But I bring up Al Lewis, and the guy melts. Yeah. And he goes, "That's my partner," and just none of the stories I can share at this point in time. I mean, we had him on, and he did talk fondly of his time on Car 54, but there's a whole bunch of stories about Al that you could never say that would make your, you know, the illusion of an affair seem... you know, but it was just some of it had to do with the language or just the, you know, a little event, you know, conversations, things like that, jokes. But it's just like, I have never heard anybody have any ill thing to say. You know, you talk about a Hollywood career, you know, somebody always has something. And it's like, no, everybody liked being around the guy, joking with the guy. The guy loves sports. One of my favorite episodes of the Munsters is the one with Leo DeRocher. Yeah. He looked like he was having a great time. Al Lewis looked like he was having the best time of all, just in whatever scenes he's with Leo DeRocher with. It looked like, you know, this was just, as much as they, you know, had to deal with makeup, and the new studio tour was just coming into the Universal lot at that time, and I know that was problematic. It was like, he really was a wonderful guy.
And we've talked before in this program about how some actors, they kind of resent the fact that they become pigeonholed as a result of playing this one character for 4 or 5 years.
He was forever Grandpa.
And he embraced that. He loved being Grandpa.
He did. He embraced it, yeah.
There are two people I think our generation will always know as Grandpa, and one is Al Lewis, the other is Will Geer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That you know them as Grandpa. I'm sure Michael Learned, when you interviewed her, probably used the term Grandpa quite a bit in describing Will Geer. But also on that note,
also a character, you know, known for who was very much his own character and could be a little randy at times, but he just enjoyed living.
Well, I'm sorry, my grandfather used to have some dirty jokes for me when Grandma wasn't in earshot. So I mean, that is kind of a cool aspect.
Steve Cox, author of The Munsters, TV's First Family of Fright, and other books on classic TV shows, from a conversation that originally aired in March 2012. Here on TV Confidential. Beverley Owen, the first actress to play Marilyn Munster on The Munsters, passed away this past Monday, February 25th, at the age of 81. A reminder that Will Ryan and Nick Santa Maria will perform live as Biffle and Schuster at the Coffee Gallery backstage in Altadena, California on Sunday, March 31st, beginning at 7 p.m. The Misadventures of Biffle and Schuster DVD will be available for purchase that evening, as will the Biffle and Schuster comic book and the Biffle and Schuster portable guide to etiquette. For tickets and more information, call 626-798-6236, 626-798-6236, or visit the calendar page at coffeegallery.com. A reminder that The Misadventures of Biffle and Schuster is available wherever DVDs are sold through our friends at Kino Lorber, while most of the Biffle and Schuster comedy shorts are available for streaming on demand at Amazon Prime under the title The Adventures of Biffle and Schuster. The Biffle and Schuster portable guide to proper etiquette is available online at celebworks.com. That's CELEBWORX, celebworks.com. You can follow Biffle and Schuster on Twitter at Biffle and Schuster. That'll do it for our program this week, folks. Ed Robertson, by behalf of Tony Figueroa, Donna Allen, Phil Grice, Greg Airborne, and producer Chris Corman, thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you next time on TV Confidential.